Residents in Oshawa are finding bullets in their homes after a housing complex was hit by gunfire last night.
And a big intersection remains closed tonight as TTC crews work to repair a major power network after a crash earlier in the week.
Plus, Toronto City Council is in the midst of its last meeting of 2024. We'll tell you what's being discussed coming up.
And we are exactly 1 week away from Christmas Day. We are live at the Distillery District for the Winter Market.
This is Live at 5.
Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lindsay Biscaya. Welcome to Live at 5. Well, several homes were hit by gunfire at a housing complex in Oshawa early this morning, lodging bullets in living rooms and bedrooms.
Yeah, CP24's Beatrice Vaisman joins us live from the scene. This is on Mary Street. Beatrice.
Bakari, Lindsay, people should be safe inside their homes. Mums and 12-year-old girls, families should be safe overnight when they're supposed to be sleeping peacefully. That safety was robbed from them around 2:05 a.m. overnight. Imagine this. You've got a dresser, a little girl's dresser. It says, "Stay happy" in little kids' writing on the top. Just below it, a bullet hole from a bullet that pierced the home through the dresser. This is a really awful, brazen situation. This little girl's bed, which is, by the way, kind of on a platform, there was a bullet hole just under her bed as well. Now, thankfully, this child was not home last night. She was at her father's, but her mom was home, and she heard the gunfire ring out and talks about what she's experiencing today, processing what has happened. There was another bullet that pierced her ceiling in her living room as well. And so here's what this mom, Gabby, told us earlier today. She lives in the corner unit here of this housing complex that was struck by, according to the police chief, 14 bullets.
I still haven't really slept. I've had police in my house all night long, in and out. I haven't processed what has happened yet. I just keep thinking about, had my daughter's been home and her bed been a normal size bed and not a loft bed, she would most likely not be with us today.
And had she been sleeping in that bed, Bakari and Lindsay, she would have just been inches from where these bullets struck her bedroom. Durham Regional Police's forensic identifications team was here at the scene all day long. As I mentioned, Police Chief Peter Moreira putting on social media his frustration about the fact that 14 bullets fired indiscriminately by someone that he calls a coward. Police have not put out any suspect information at this point. They're still working to gather that information. They're trying to see if there was a getaway vehicle for this individual as well. They've been canvassing for video surveillance all day long. But certainly this is a situation that has this community here in Oshawa, Mary and Taunton on edge, and they want answers. And so here's what we heard from Durham Regional Police Constable Nick Gluckstein earlier today about where the investigation is. And as you'll hear him say, brazen is not even strong enough of a word to describe the situation.
Brazen is an understatement. I would say that this is extremely alarming. I mean, we at Durham Police are committed to combating gun violence. If I was a parent and, it's safe inside my home, this is the last thing I would expect to happen. We want to ensure our community members feel safe, and we will do nothing except power through to stop all the gun violence and combat it. To date, we've taken 96 guns off the road. That means 96 guns that are no longer in the hands of criminals that can be used to perpetrate crimes like what you're seeing here.
The reality is Durham Regional not immune to gang violence at this point either. I asked Constable Gluckstein if that's one of the theories that police are looking at. In my experience covering shootings, especially in the city of Toronto, when you've got someone standing outside of a townhouse complex spraying bullets indiscriminately, often it's because it's a gang member who's on gang enemy territory and they're trying to send a message. And so police are looking into whether that's a possibility, and if not, what is the motive here? What was this person or people trying to do when they essentially came here overnight and terrorized this community? Back to you guys.
Yeah, still a lot of unanswered questions for sure. That's CP24's Beatrice Vaisman reporting live for us. Thanks, B. Well, Peel Police are investigating after shots were fired at a home in Brampton.
Okay, pay close attention to this surveillance video. It's from Sinwood Street, which is near McLaughlin and Sandalwood Parkway. It shows a car on the street At 2:15 this morning, it turns a corner. Then about 30 seconds later, two people can be seen in the street before running away. So police recall here just after 2:30, officers confirmed that a home was hit by several bullets. The residents, they were home at the time, but no one was hurt. Police are looking for more surveillance video from the area.
And 3 British citizens have been charged in the deadly beating of a restaurant owner in Owen Sound.
44-year-old Sharifer Rahman died in August of 2023. This is after being assaulted when investigators say he asked 3 men to settle their bill because he was closing his business for the night. The 3 men charged in his death, they've been identified as 24-year-old Robert Evans, 47-year-old Robert Busby Evans, and 54-year-old Barry Evans. Police say the 24-year-old accused has been charged with manslaughter, while the 2 others are charged with accessory after the fact. And they're currently before the courts in the UK for extradition hearings.
And police continue to appeal for help to find a missing person who was last seen in the Lansdowne and Dupont area last Thursday.
Shoba is described as being 5'7" with a medium build, short black hair, and brown eyes. Shoba was last seen wearing a light blue jacket, black pants, and open-toe slippers, and police are concerned for their safety. Contact police at 11 Division or Crime Stoppers with any information.
It has been more than 24 hours now since a garbage truck brought down wires at King and Spadina, and the busy downtown intersection is closed for the second evening during rush hour in a row.
CP24 Steve Ron is live at the scene with the latest on, Steve, the big question, when is traffic going to be moving again?
Well, I can tell you it took both Tom and I a good 45 minutes just to get from our old building at 299 Queen from that location to King and Spadina for our afternoon hit. So the traffic around this area is awful. And that's because you can see behind me here, the intersection at King and Spadina has been closed since yesterday as a result of that, the mishap with the dump truck. King Street is closed from Spadina over to Brant, and Spadina is closed from Front Street north to Adelaide. So you can imagine the traffic that would typically go through this intersection is finding other ways to meander around it to get to where they are going. So it is incredibly inconvenienced a lot of people, and they weren't shy about voicing their opinions with regards to that, but many have said, hey, we live in a big city and stuff does happen. Now, we did hear from the TTC earlier on today, and they said that the workers will continue around the clock at this intersection to repair the wires and their infrastructure, and that most likely will not get completed until sometime closer to Friday afternoon. TTC routes have also been affected. I will speak to what those are on the other side of these clips. But first, let's hear from Stuart Green. We spoke with him earlier. He is the TTC spokesperson, and we got reaction from local residents as well. Here's more from them.
Right now, we're still saying end of the week, probably Friday evening kind of thing. You know, we've got the crews out here now. They're still doing the assessment because, as you can see, there's a lot of intricate pieces that go into this structure. It's not just the cabling, it's the suspension, it's the tension that keeps the cables tight. They have to go through and look at all of that. And at that intersection, there's a lot of infrastructure to check. So they're still doing that work, and then they'll start restoring things as they can. We're optimistic by the end of the week, hopefully sooner, but we can't really commit to anything before that.
I usually take the streetcar just from St. Andrew.
Okay, so how did your route change this morning because of this?
Just more walking. Yeah, it was just a walk from St. Andrew. It's not that bad. It's not that cold today.
I work in Mississauga, so I have to take the longer route all the way. And I've been walking for 10 minutes. Yeah. I go with my coworker. He lives right there, the affected area. Yeah. So I'm just like 20 minutes late now. Yeah.
So as far as streetcars go, the 504 King, the 508 the Lakeshore, and the 510 Spadina all have been temporarily canceled until this intersection gets repaired. TTC does say that if you need to catch a streetcar, you can get one on Bathurst or on Queen Street. And lastly, if you are in need of Wheel-Trans, we are advised by the TTC that all you need to do is call them and they will come to your door to pick you up. I'll send it back to the desk.
Yeah, and there we're getting a live look of crews busy at work. That's CP24's Steve Ryan reporting live for us. Steve, thanks for that.
Well, along with that, we're now at 5:09, sitting at 2 above zero. Let's get a check on the evening commute with CP24's traffic specialist, Aj Wensiayabwa. Aj.
Yeah, you know, it continues to be busy on all of the major area routes and on city streets. And I'll show you the drive on the Gardner because that's an alternate route that people are using instead of in town if you're a commuter and you're in a car. So here's what the delays look like. Very slow from Cherry Street out towards Dufferin through the construction zone. That's where everything opens up. Don Valley Parkway, it still remains heaviest. Approaching Bayview, Bloor up to the 401. And if you're on the 401, fingers crossed, haven't spotted any brand new issues, but definitely seeing these major delays as you navigate across and further east into Durham. Those delays continue as well, but no issues to pass along. Outside of camera view, headed towards Scarborough on city streets, crews on scene of a collision on Markham Road and Eglinton. I'll send it back to you both.
This CP24 traffic report is brought to you by 407 ETR. Enjoy the journey with a stress-free commute.
One person's dead following a single vehicle crash in Pickering.
It happened this morning near Brock Road and Highway 7, and police say one person was pronounced dead at the scene. 3 others were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
And a teenage girl was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries after she was hit by a vehicle in Scarborough this morning. Police say the 16-year-old was hit at Markham Road and Blake Manor Boulevard, south of Lawrence. It happened around 7:15 this morning. The 84-year-old driver did stay at the scene as the investigation by traffic services continues.
Also, work is underway to save an iconic tugboat, which is now partially submerged in the Hamilton Harbor.
Yeah, Theodore 2 started taking on water while it was tied to a dock at the Ontario shipyard. The boat's owner says that they are working on a refloating plan. The 65-foot replica tugboat from the children's show Theodore Tugboat was a mainstay of Halifax Harbor for years before being sold in 2021.
Time now is 5:11. This is Live at 5.
And coming up, if you're looking for something to do New Year's Eve, we're going to tell you what the city has planned to ring in 2025.
Welcome back. 4 people have been arrested in a jewelry store heist in Richmond Hill.
They are walking, sort of jogging with bags in their hands.
The robbery happened at a plaza on Yonge Street just south of Elgin Mills yesterday afternoon. The York police helicopter followed the suspects to an apartment building in Toronto near Highway 27 and Finch. That's where they were arrested. 2 men and 2 16-year-old boys, they are facing a combined 21 charges. And police say the vehicle used in the heist, it was stolen. And 3 of the suspects, they were out on bail.
And a defense lawyer is seeking probation for one of the teens who pleaded guilty to assault in the deadly swarming of a homeless man downtown in 2022.
During a sentencing hearing today, the lawyer for the girl, who was 13 at the time of the incident, argued that she should be sentenced to a year of probation. He says the teen has taken responsibility for her role in the attack that led to the death of Kenneth Lee.
Well, the issue of rideshare wages was up for discussion at City Council this afternoon as Council continues its final meeting of the year.
Okay, CP24's Phil Perkins has been listening, and he's been there for most of the afternoon, joining us live from City Hall right now. Phil.
Bakari and Lindsay, hello, welcome to Live at 5. Let's talk about those ride-share jobs that, if you think about how much money, so this is a report commissioned by the city, they talk about how much money these ride-share drivers get solely when they are picking up a client and then dropping them off. So if they account for just those moments in the vehicle, they're making over $33 an hour. That's pretty good. However, in reality, when you actually clock in how much time they spend in a vehicle when it's empty, they're not being requested for a ride. And also on top of some of their expenses, maintenance, gas, insurance, they're making less than $7. In fact, less than $6 an hour, well below the minimum wage here in this province. And so what the city is requesting is that they have a conversation with those companies, Uber, Lyft, and try to increase the pay for these ride-share drivers. Here is Asma Malik on that.
I have met many people who have been working in the vehicle for hire economy who have shared that this is their main source of income, and it should be able to be a good job and decent work. And over the past few years, whatever that commitment or that promise was that first got them on the app has dwindled.
And we heard from a taxi board member saying that simply there's just too many Uber and Lyft drivers here in this city. We actually matched that of the number in New York City. And New York City has 19 million people, whereas here in Toronto, we are barely touching 4 million. So that was one of the topics before break. And right now, they're talking about the smart track. Now, you might not even remember what that is because we're currently dealing with, of course, we have the TTC. We have the Ontario line, which is currently digging holes throughout our city. The smart track was the brainchild of John Tory's mayoral campaign almost a decade ago. It initially had a budget of $8 billion, 22 stations. It's down to 5 stations, a priority of building 3 with a budget of $1.7 billion. And get this, they're still in the design phase. And so they are discussing right now the future of this Metrolinx Run program, which is getting more and more expensive, which is not unusual for Metrolinx. And they're talking about that here. They're asking about, is the future of this of Smart Track even a thing? And what could the consequences be if they were to just step away and just not do this anymore? Because as I mentioned, compared to the Ontario line, which is digging ground, the Smart Track is just an idea. It is a design right now. No actual construction has been made on any of these stations. They also move forward with a shelter action plan. They want to have dedicated shelters for asylum seekers and refugees. And again, they want to have a welcome center, something that people here have been asking for over a decade. And they also want to have this plan because they need to figure out how they're going to sustain this constant influx of immigration, specifically to the city of Toronto. There's under 12,000 shelter beds in this city, and it's costing the city $600 million a year to keep this thing afloat. And we heard from Councillor Lily Cheng from Willowdale saying that they can't keep asking other levels of government for money each and every time they reach the budget season. So a lot happening here. We heard from Francis Nunziata, the speaker, that they might not get through everything today. So they might have to continue till tomorrow. And as I told Edgar Brennan, hopefully no one has any flights planned. They might have to be back here tomorrow.
Yeah, back here for day 3. Okay, that's CP24's Phil Perkins live at City Council for us. A lot to go over before the holiday break. Thanks, Phil.
And the city has announced its plans to help Torontonians get into the New Year spirit.
Festivities will get underway at 10 p.m. across the waterfront, featuring music, pop-up performances, and a countdown. Once the clock strikes midnight, celebrations will wrap up with a 10-minute fireworks show with several viewing areas, including Sherbourne Common, the Toronto Music Garden, Harbourfront Centre, and Sugar Beach Park. The event will be live streamed for those watching at home.
It's 5:18, holding at 2 above zero. This is Live at 5.
There could be a major merger in the works in the auto industry. We'll take a look at that coming up next.
A new report warns that the number of family doctors in Canada, it's still really not keeping up with our growing population.
Yeah, the Canadian Institute for Health Research says while the number of family physicians is rising, the rate of growth has slowed. Many of those family doctors are also seeing fewer patients. Reasons for that include the aging population and patients with more complicated health issues that require longer appointments.
A synagogue on Montreal's West Island was the target of an alleged arson attack this morning.
Police were called around 3 a.m. to the synagogue, which also houses a Hebrew school and a local CJA office. Crews extinguished the flames and found at least one incendiary device. The window was smashed and a door was broken, but the damage overall is described as being minor. No injuries have been reported and no arrests have been made so far.
Well, there could be a major merger in the works in the auto industry.
French automaker Renault, Nissan's largest shareholder, is reportedly open to merger talks with Honda. Honda and Nissan are in talks to set up a holding company, a move that could help them share more resources to face tough competition.
Well, 88 names have been added to this year's list for the Order of Canada.
Recipients include actor Ryan Reynolds, singer-songwriter Heather Rankin, and Diane Pitre. Pitre was kicked out of the Canadian Armed Forces in 1980 over her sexuality in what has become known as the Purge. Super Bowl winner Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, who left the NFL to pursue his medical career, and Pinchas Gutter, who is a Holocaust educator, are also being recognized.
Well, thousands of toddler step stools in Canada, they're being recalled due to a potential entrapment hazard for children.
The Kaba Toddler Kitchen Helper 2 step stool from AOSM Canada was recalled due to the space between the bars on the back of the product. There has been one report so far of a child's head getting stuck in the bars of the step stool. That is as of December 3rd. The affected products were sold in Canada from July 2021 to October 2024.
It's 5:23, holding at 2 above zero. This is Live at 5.
And we're live at the Winter Village in the distillery this evening. Christmas is 1 week away. Can you believe it? We will check in with CP24's CJ about how Toronto residents are getting ready for the holidays. Stay with us. Hard to believe Christmas is 1 week from today. And yeah, the Distillery District's Winter Village is in full swing, of course.
Yeah, CP24 CJ there, getting into the holiday spirit, and joins us live right now with more on how people are feeling. CJ, how are people feeling?
Well, anyone who's down here at the Distillery District of Winter Village is really happy. It certainly feels like Christmas already here. Tens of thousands of holiday lights. It smells like hot chocolate and a lot of happy faces. And here to tell me more about all that's going on is Rick, aka the head elf here at the Winter Village. And Rick, this has been going on for over 10 years now. What is the village doing this year to keep things fresh and exciting for everyone?
Well, you know, we've got so many great things down here at the Distillery Winter Village this year. We've got a whole bunch of new activations. We've got something called the Aurora Borealis. So essentially it's a vintage Santa sleigh with northern lights projected on one of our activations over here behind Balzac's. Down the walkway on Gristmill Hill, you've also got another Santa sleigh, and we've got 8 whiskey barrel reindeer that you can sit on and take photos on. That's all new things. And then this year we've done a whole bunch of new things. Everything from Mervish last week to tomorrow, Thursday night, we actually have the Myriad Ensemble down here. So it's 40 people. It's a women's choir, and they'll be performing here in front of the tree tomorrow from 7 to 9 p.m. So you should come check that out.
Wow, so exciting. Now, it's been quite busy here. We've been seeing photos all over social media. What do people need to know before they head down here to make sure they get the best experience and make the most out of it?
Well, I mean, the retail shops here are open at 10 a.m. every day. The vendors open at noon, and you can get in for free all the way until 4 o'clock. From 4 o'clock on, you do require a ticket. Tickets are available at thedistillerywintervillage.com, and for that, that ticket entry gets you obviously access to the entire site. And really, those are very popular right now as we get closer to Christmas, so make sure you go on the website, buy before you get here, because you might get disappointed. We do sell out on regular.
All right, so that was CP24 CJ down at the distillery for, just get into the holiday spirit.
1 week until Christmas.
That's it.
A week today. It's Christmas
You got all
Day.
your shopping done?
Not quite. I know you do. You were just telling me all about it.
Yeah, almost.
Right.
We're getting there.
We'll get there.
Right now it is 5:28, holding at 2 above zero. This is Live at 5.
And we are live also tonight at King and Spadina. That intersection remains closed for the second night in a row. Crews there working tonight. We'll get an update from the scene and when it could reopen coming up next.
Residents in Oshawa are finding bullet holes in their homes. This is after a housing complex was hit by gunfire last night.
And Owen Sound police are revealing the identities of those charged in a homicide investigation, and they are currently not in the country. Details on that next.
A big intersection is still closed tonight as TTC crews work to repair a major power network after a crash earlier in the week.
And we are exactly 1 week away from Christmas Day, and we're live tonight at the Distillery District for the Winter Market. Details on that also coming up.
This is Live at 5. Good evening. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lindsay Biscaya. Welcome to Live at 5. Well, Durham police are investigating after shots were fired at several homes in Oshawa.
Chopper 24 was over the scene. This is Mary Street near Taunton Road, west of Ritson Road. That was this morning. Police say that they were called for the sound of gunshots after 2 o'clock. Police say people were home at the time of the shooting. Bullets entered multiple residences. And one of the residents whose home was hit provided us with a look at the bullets. They can be seen in the ceiling and her 12-year-old daughter's bed frame. Fortunately, no one was hit.
Next thing you know, I'm seeing red and blue lights outside. I'm nosy, so I went to go check. officer saw me through the window, decided to come ask me some questions, and it was then that I realized that there is, in fact, a bullet in the ceiling of my living room.
I heard gunshots, and there were a lot. So after, I was counting, okay, that's 7 and 8. I was like, are these gunshots or are these, fireworks or something? Because it was a lot.
Yeah.
And then, but I was like, these are not normal fireworks.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't echo that much.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is happening? And I looked outside my window, I couldn't see anything because I live down there.
Yeah. Did it startle you?
Yes, of course.
In a lot of instances, we find that these shootings are gang-related. I can't tell you whether this is because the investigation is so preliminary, but this is not unique. Across the GTA, we have lots of shootings, and we're not immune to it, unfortunately. Not only are we seeing it in urban areas, we're seeing it in our rural areas. And in the past week alone, we've had 5 shootings, which brings our total number to 45 for the year. So as you can imagine, it's a combination of not only gang targeting and other factors that go into this.
Durham's police chief says 14 shots were indiscriminately fired at the housing complex, and apparently it's very lucky that no one was hurt.
Well, it's been more than 24 hours since a garbage truck literally brought down wires at King and Spadina. The busy downtown intersection, it is still closed for the second evening rush hour in a row.
That's where CP24 Steve Ryan is live at the scene with the latest on when traffic could possibly begin moving through that area. Obviously, a pretty key intersection in the city, Steve.
Yeah, it certainly is, Lindsay. But as a result of yesterday's mishap, this intersection was closed starting yesterday and will continue to be closed on into the weekend. We are told expect it to be closed at least until early Friday afternoon. And that's because the workers are repairing the infrastructure, repairing the wires that were damaged. And we heard from Stuart Green, who is the TTC spokesperson. He told us earlier that these workers will be working around the clock to get this major intersection back up and running. So it is a big inconvenience for people. Those driving through this area have to be rerouted. It's not a large area that's been blocked off, but it certainly is an important part of the city when it comes to traffic. So it is causing major headaches. So Spadina continues to be closed. Front Street north to Adelaide, and King Street is closed from Spadina to Brant, and it's going to continue with those closures until at least Friday. And now we did hear from Stuart Green. As I said, he is the TTC spokesperson. Here's what he said to us earlier, and we got reaction from local residents as well. And on the other side of these clips, I will talk to you about the streetcars that are going to be out of service until at least Friday afternoon. Here's more from them. Let's listen.
We don't know any costs yet. Obviously, we won't know that until the work is done. Is there going to be there'll be overtime costs, there'll be material costs if we have to replace things. Certainly, we have remedies in terms of how we could recoup that money through insurance claims against the company that was involved if they're found responsible. But that we're sort of a ways away from that still.
It's not that bad, but it's definitely hectic. But they did manage to overcome it. So the other routes, like the D route, it's pretty fast. And as a student, it wasn't that much of an inconvenience. I would say good job, actually. They handle it pretty well. But yeah, it is a bit of an inconvenience, but they handle it well. So good job.
Streetcar cancellations, the 504 King Street streetcar, the 508 Lakeshore streetcar, and the 510 Spadina streetcar, all temporarily out of service. The TTC tell us that you can catch a streetcar on Bathurst or along Queen Street. And if you are in need of Wheel-Trans, we are told that all you need to do is call them and they will come to your door. Send it back to the desk.
Okay, the latest on the closure at King and Spadina. CP24, Steve Ron. Steve, thank you.
Okay, let's take a look at traffic around that area as well, around the city. We'll check in with our traffic specialist, Adjoa. How's it looking out there, Adjoa?
Not so good if you're in the heart of the downtown core. As you heard Steve saying, the closure's still in place around King and Spadina. Bathurst University run parallel, some good alternatives to using Spadina and east and westbound routes. If you're trying to find one instead of King, you can head south to Front or north and make your way towards Queen. At least those routes are moving. Now, once you're on the major routes, it is no easy drive. We have this issue, just spotting it now. It's on the 401 if you're traveling on the eastbound side. On the approach to Kiel, it's a stalled transport, has the center lane occupied. Find it busy as you make your way through. We do have these problems on the Gardner as you make your way out of the downtown core.
24's traffic specialist Adjoa Bott. Well, Bill police are investigating after shots were fired. This is at a home in Brampton.
Yeah, surveillance video from Senwood Street near McLaughlin and Sandalwood Parkway shows a car on the street at 2:15 this morning. Here you can see it turns a corner, and then about 30 seconds later, two people can be seen in the street before running away. Police were called here just after 2:30, and officers confirmed that a home was struck by several bullets. The residents were home at the time. No one was injured, though, and police are now looking for more surveillance video from the area.
Well, 3 British citizens have been charged in the deadly beating of a restaurant owner in Owen Sound.
44-year-old Sharifa Rahman died in August of 2023 after being assaulted when investigators say he asked 3 men to settle their bill because he was closing his business for the night. Those 3 men charged in his death have been identified as 24-year-old Robert Evans, 47-year-old Robert Busby Evans, and 54-year-old Barry Evans. Police say the 24-year-old accused has been charged with manslaughter, while the other 2 are charged with accessory after the fact. They are currently before the courts in the UK for extradition hearings.
And a defense lawyer seeking probation for one of the teens who pleaded guilty to assault in the deadly swarming of a homeless man downtown in 2022.
During a sentencing hearing today, the lawyer for the girl, who was 13 at the time of the incident, argued the girl should be sentenced to a year of probation. He says the teen has taken responsibility for her role in the attack, which led to the death of Kenneth Lee.
Well, 4 people have been arrested in a jewelry store heist in Richmond Hill.
They are walking, sort of jogging with bags in their hands.
The robbery happened at a plaza on Yonge Street, just south of Elgin Mills, yesterday afternoon. The York police helicopter followed the suspects to an apartment building in Toronto near Highway 27 and Finch, where they were arrested. 2 men and 2 16-year-old boys are facing a combined 21 charges. Police say the vehicle used in the heist was stolen, and 3 of the suspects were out on bail.
And police continue to appeal for help to find a missing person who was last seen in the Lansdowne and DuPont area last Thursday.
Shoba is described as 5'7" with a medium build, short black hair and brown eyes. Shoba was last seen wearing a light blue jacket, black pants and open-toe slippers. Police are concerned for their safety, so you're being asked to contact police at 11 Division or Crime Stoppers if you have any information.
1 person's dead following a single vehicle crash in Pickering.
Yeah, this happened this morning near Brock Road and Highway 7. Police say 1 person was pronounced dead at the scene. 3 others were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Well, a teenage girl was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries after she was hit by a vehicle in Scarborough this morning. Police say that the 16-year-old was hit at Markham Road and Blake Manor Boulevard, south of Lawrence. That was at 7:15 this morning. The 84-year-old driver did stay at the scene, and the investigation by traffic services is ongoing.
It is 5:40, feeling like -2 outside. This is Live at 5.
It's day 2 of Toronto City Council's last meeting of the year. Coming up, we're going to tell you what councillors are planning to do about wages for gig workers. The issue of rideshare wages was up for discussion at City Council this afternoon as Council meets to continue its final of the year.
Yeah, CP24's Phil Perkins has been listening and joins us live from City Hall. Phil, so much to go over. You're telling us this might not even be done by the end of today.
No. Lindsay Bakari. They're supposed to wrap at 6. Mayor Olivia Chow is suggesting that they take a break, regroup, have some water. Looks like they're getting desserts out of the back, and then come back around 6:45 to try to get this thing done. One of the things they were talking about before the break, that was 1 o'clock this afternoon, was about gig workers, specifically those who drive rideshare. They're saying that if you factor in the amount of time that they're in vehicles without clients, without passengers, they're just kind of sitting around waiting to be requested, and you put on top their maintenance costs, their gas, their insurance, they're making less than $6 an hour. So they're asking the city staff to try to bring that up with the powers that be, the Uber, the Lyfts out there, to try to do something to help these people live, work, and earn a livable wage. However, there is some pushback on this. We heard from East York Beach's Councillor Brad Bradford about why the city is even talking about this.
This came from a cap on vehicle for hire, and today we're talking about wages. And that's what the report is in front of us today. And, you know, it would be my view, and maybe some of yours as well, that the amount of time and energy that we have spent, the precious and valuable staff time that we have spent from the fantastic folks in MLS to come up with more reports on things that we don't even have legislation or jurisdiction over, that's puzzling to me.
And Bradford referencing Olivia Chow last year trying to get a cap on ride-share vehicles, saying they make up a lot of the congestion here in the city. The city was threatened with legal action by Uber, so we step back. They also move forward with a shelter action plan to try to get a real clear system on how to accept refugees and asylum seekers and put them in the right place. They're saying that this doesn't exist here. There's no welcome center here in Toronto. We have less than 12,000 shelter beds. It's costing the city $600 million a year. They are getting help, around $200 million in contributions, but the city is matching that. They're saying the city just cannot sustain this for a long period of time. Now, currently, they're talking about the Smart Track. If you don't know what that is, it was the brainchild of the John Tory campaign almost a decade ago. It was supposed to be 22 stations using GO Transit lines. This is a Metrolinx project, which is 55% paid for by the city. It's now down to 5 stations, and it might get down to 3 stations. But they're working on this right now, see if they even want to move forward with the Smart Track. So this has been taking up a good chunk of time, might lead them to the break. And so, yeah, a lot happening here. Good chance they might come back tomorrow. We'll have to wait and find out. Back to you two.
Okay, that's CP24's Phil Perkins breaking it all down from City Council tonight. Phil, thanks for that.
All right, it's 5:45, feeling more like 2 below zero outside. This is Live at 5.
We are also live at the Winter Village in the Distillery District tonight. Christmas is 1 week away. We'll check in with CP24's Sija Liu, who's also there, on how people are doing. Stay with us. This just into CP24. Emergency crews are on scene of a collision in the U of T area involving vehicles, a pedestrian, and a cyclist.
This happened in the College Street and St. George Street area around 5 o'clock this evening. Police say they responded to reports that a pickup truck hit 2 vehicles, a pedestrian and a cyclist. Police, paramedics, and fire crews, they are all on the scene. The driver of the truck did stay. There's no word on the number of injured or the extent of those injuries. College Street is closed between Beverly and McCall. We do have a crew heading to the scene. Keep it here on CP24 as we continue to follow this developing story.
In other news, Christmas is 1 week away from today, and the Distillery District's Winter Village is, of course, in full swing.
Let's check in with CP24's Sija Liu, who's there getting into the holiday spirit, joining us live now with more on how people are feeling. And Sija, I believe you said something about hot chocolate.
Yes, you can smell the hot chocolate. There's actually a viral hot chocolate place just down the street here. I'm being told there's usually 100 to 200 people in line, but that's one of the many things you can do here at the Distillery Winter Village. And joining me right now are Stevie, and Sydney. I just bumped into them on the street, and they're having a great time here at the Village. What brings you guys down here today?
We do this every year, and we just love it. It's just gets us in the mood, gets us going, just before Christmas break, and just gets us to ready to get into new things. Yeah.
Now, is there anything that stands out to you this year? It's hard to miss that 55-foot Christmas tree, but there's just so much to see.
Yeah, the tree is so beautiful, but I'm really looking forward to trying that hot chocolate with the marshmallow on top from Clooney. So, very excited to try that.
Now that you've been here a few times, what is usually your game plan when you come down here? There's a lot of people down here. You have to get through traffic.
We just like to get in and then check it out and then get back home. And then, check some things out, have hot chocolate and then take some pictures and then see what's new for the city to come. Yeah.
Any plans for shopping around here? Anything on your Christmas list that you need to check off?
We've already finished our Christmas shopping, so we're just taking a look around at the shops. Maybe we'll buy something for ourselves and, just enjoy the atmosphere.
Awesome. That's a pretty good strategy. Get all the Christmas shopping done and then just relax and enjoy with 1 week to go until Christmas. Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy your time here at the Village.
Thanks so much.
Well, there are tons of things to do. Tomorrow night, there will be a symphony here, 40 people serenading everyone. But on top of the hot chocolate, tons of food vendors, tons of shopping. And of course, the crown jewel of the Village is the 55-foot Christmas tree. And it's real with tens of thousands of lights. We'll send it back to you guys for now.
CJ, I think Bakari was hinting off the top that he wants you to bring him back some hot chocolate. So,
I mean, it would be nice and festive.
There you go. Just keep that in mind. That's CP24's CJ reporting live for us. Thanks, CJ.
Well, the city has announced its plan to help Torontonians celebrate New Year's Eve.
Festivities will get underway at 10 p.m. across the waterfront, featuring music, pop-up performances, and a countdown. Once the clock strikes midnight, celebrations will wrap up with a 10-minute fireworks show with several viewing areas, including Sherbourne Common, the Toronto Music Garden, Harbourfront Centre, and Sugar Beach Park. The event will be live streamed for those who are watching at home.
Well, it's 5:52, holding at 2 above zero. This is Live at 5.
Coming up, the Leafs will be without goaltender Anthony Stolarz for 4 to 6 weeks. We'll be chatting in depth about that coming up.
All right, the Leafs are back on the ice tonight in Dallas, taking on the Stars. They're going to be without goaltender Anthony Stolarz, who's expected to undergo knee surgery today and miss 4 to 6 weeks.
To talk more about this and tonight's matchup, we're joined live now by John Viveros, host of Hot Take Hockey Podcast. Hi, John. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, for a couple of years now, Leafs have been struggling with goaltenders. Now Stolarz has been such a star. People love him. He's been doing so well. How much of a hit is this to the team?
This is definitely a big loss. I think when you look at Anthony Stolarz and coming into the year, I mean, he was a Stanley Cup champion last year. But I think when you look at him throughout his career, he's always been stuck behind the starting goalie. Well, now this year, he earned that starter job with Toronto. And when you're talking about Stolarz's season so far, I mean, Lindsay, we're talking about a Vezina candidate. We're talking about a guy that was .927 save percentage before his injury, being one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League. So this is a loss. But I think fans can look at the Austin Matthews and this course team is looked in terms of goaltending. And Anthony Stolarz going down, you have Joseph Woll as the next man up. And then you also have rumors now of Matt Murray making the ultimate comeback as that veteran presence. He's made a miraculous comeback from brutal injury history. He's obviously a Stanley Cup champion as well. So we'll see if Matt Murray's back. But when you look at the Leafs, I mean, they've been rolling. And I think they've had their ups and downs in terms of health. But I think with Stolarz down, you have Matt Murray next man up. Artur Akhtiamov has had an 8-1-1 record with the Toronto Marlies. So that's another younger goalie. And Dennis Hildeby as well. So to answer your question, I think they've been they're better suited at least now with the Stolarz injury, but obviously you want that guy back because he's been one of the best this year.
All right, so along those lines, JV, look, Toronto's coming off a 5-3 win on Sunday. This is against the Sabres, but this team has had injuries from key players. Let's talk about that.
For sure. I mean, different guys have been in and out of the lineup. Of course, Austin Matthews was out for an extended period of time. And I mean, that kind of gave a different look for Toronto. They actually had a lot of struggles on the power play early on in the year. And then Austin Matthews goes down. And for some reason, the power play ends up hitting on all marks. So I think when Matthews came back, the power play struggles again. So the Leafs are finding different, I would say, identity with players, whether it's a power play or whether it's 5-on-5. And I think they've made it work. And again, you're talking about injuries down the lineup. I mean, you've seen it so much more beyond Austin Matthews, whether it's John Tavares or Max Pacioretty that was out for a period of time, or Max Domi who just got back from an injury. Same with Bobby McMahon. So there's so many guys, Bakari, that have gone down through an injury, but the Craig Berube culture and what this team has been able to do so far this season is such a bright sign for Leaf fans watching this team. And then it goes back to that goaltending conversation of, yes, Stolarz going down sucks, but you have 2 or 3 guys that you can give a shot, including Joseph Woll, who, I mean, going into the season, I think if you asked most fans, they would say Joseph Woll was the number 1 going in anyway. So I think it's worked out for Toronto.
Yeah, and when we talk about keeping that momentum going, obviously the Leafs always usually start off pretty strong in the regular season, and then things start to change once we get into the playoffs. But with the goaltending, as you mentioned, there's a couple other strong guys they could use. How do we keep that momentum going, I guess?
Yeah, I think Joseph Woll obviously needs to stay healthy. So playing the Stars tonight, the Stars are a tough opponent. I think when you look at Joseph Woll specifically, he's looked a lot calmer in the net and more so probably learning a lot from a guy like Anthony Stolarz. So honestly, Lindsay, to answer your question, the defense has been built so much better this year. And not to slander Sheldon Key, but I think Craig Berube's really brought a different mentality to that defense group. And obviously bringing in Chris Tanev and Oliver Ekman-Larsson with that kind of experience, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson winning a Stanley Cup last year. And Chris Tanev, a former Dallas Star, just went on a playoff run with the Stars last year. So he'll know the Stars well tonight. I think those guys will be able to help Joseph Woll in front and keep the puck out of the back of the net, hopefully for Leaf fans and everyone watching tonight.
All right, puck drop is set for 7 o'clock. John Viveros, host of Hot Take Hockey Podcast. Thank you very much. Always making time for us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Bakari. Thanks.
And with that, it is now 5:59, holding at 2 above zero. This is Toronto's breaking news, CP24.
We're live at King and Spadina tonight. That intersection remains closed for a second night in a row. Here's another look at crews trying to repair things. Thanks for watching. CTV News at 6 is next.